Hello and welcome to this very special episode of Akrinos Access. I'm Eric Matei, President and Chief Vision Officer of Akrinos, joined today by two amazing people who are really having an impact on vision globally. That being Lois Schönbrunn and Nikki Eric. Lois and Nikki together are leading the charge for Optometry Giving Sight in North America and across the globe. And we're really excited to have them here for an informative and inspired conversation. Optometry Giving Sight introducing TEAM OGS. So we've got a lot of stuff to get to, but first I want to start with welcoming you, Lois. Welcome to the program. Nikki, welcome to the program. Thank y'all so much for joining us.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks for having us.
So,
it's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. And you know, y'all, if we kind of put this in context, I know it's been a couple of years now that since we had first connected, and you know, Akrinos started doing a little bit of work with OGS, you know, supporting some of you all's causes. And as this partnership has evolved here over the last few years, it's very exciting to now be able to support you all and continue to spread the message of the great work that Optometry Giving Sight is doing in ways that practices can get involved. So why don't we start by maybe if y'all would please first just briefly introduce yourselves and a little bit about exactly what Optometry Giving Sight is.
Nikki, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Nikki Eric, and I am the development director with Optometry Giving Sight. I've been with the organization for about 15 months now, and I've been in the industry, though, for a little bit longer, a couple decades or so. My dad was an optometrist, and I worked at his practice ever since I graduated college, doing work there as a para-optometric and an assistant. And I ended up opening an optical shop out of his practice with my family that evolved into a couple dozen shops, which was then acquired. But I stayed in the industry afterward, doing some consulting, and then ended up in this role, which is just like a dream job because I love the mission. And I love to meet more optometrists, and I love what we're doing. And I love having met you, Eric. You're the great connector in this industry. So I really appreciate all that you're doing to help us. Thanks.
Absolutely. And thank you, Nikki.
And we are delighted to have you on staff, Nikki. I'm Lois Schönbrunn, Executive Director of Optometry Giving Sight. Been with the organization 2 years. Prior to this, I was executive director of the American Academy of Optometry for 23 years, from 1996 to 2019. Also come from a family of optometrists. Retired once and was pulled back in by the greatness that is Optometry Giving Sight. As you know, our mission is to raise funds to promote and develop the profession of optometry globally in order to solve the problem of uncorrected refractive error. We were founded 20 years ago by Brian Holden, whose vision was to create an organization that raised money to do just what we are doing, to promote the profession and solve the problem of global blindness from uncorrected refractive error. So he brought together IAPB, the World Council, and of course, BHVI, and we were founded. Most people in the profession know that here in North America and some other parts of the world, we take eye care for granted. And there are more than 1 billion people in the world, with a B, who are blind because they need an eye exam and glasses. And we work hard to solve that problem. Everything from long-term, very expensive, multi-year projects to actually build an optometry school where care doesn't exist. Both the physical buildings, but the curriculum development and the instructors and just the whole 9 yards, to very small projects. I like to describe one of the very first emails I got when I joined the staff. Was from a group of nuns who live at the base of Mount Kilimanjaro. And they are trained by optometrists who live however many kilometers away, come in every 6 months or so to train new people, assess what's happening. And they needed a fundus camera. Sustainable program, right? Because nuns were not going anywhere. Optometry led, and they needed a fundus camera. Easy, yes. And there's everything in between.
That, it's so powerful here. And I think one of those things that I would love for you guys to elaborate on is this global need, right? I mean, Lois, you hit the nail on the head. And I know, Nikki, from a lot of our conversations here over the last couple of years, with the work that you guys are doing, this global need is absolutely massive. So just so all of our viewers can understand, there's over 1 billion people globally that are blind simply because they don't have access to a comprehensive eye exam and correction. Is that right? Is that right, Lois?
That's correct.
That is absolutely right. And there is a role for mission trips. Mission trips are important. They certainly serve a need. What happens when the person loses their glasses, or a child outgrows them, or the prescription changes? So our goal is to build sustainable solutions, right? So train people who then stay in their communities to continue to provide care.
Well, and also scalable ones too. So one of my favorite stories, and also addressing that need globally, is there's a implementing partner we work with called Canadian Vision Care, and Dr. Alan Jones. And I just love him because he's he's this wonderful, kind and generous doctor, but he's also like MacGyver, and he just thinks of all these little handheld creations that, he builds his own little instruments to solve problems. But on a bigger need, he will develop a project that is so all inclusive. And what I mean is he uses every little bit of it. So he'll pack a C-can shipping container filled with equipment like slit lamps and everything you need sort of to set up a vision clinic. And then where it lands, kind of literally where it lands, and I don't mean the shipping port, but once it gets to its destination, they then kind of put some windows on it and a door and slap a sign, and then they train the local people, and that shipping container becomes the vision clinic. So he's utilizing the shipping container and making it the physical place where people come and get exams, and he trains the local people there to become the eye care professionals. So on so many levels, it's serving wonderful purposes. It's teaching people not only to be eye care professionals, but teaching them the practice of running a business, whether it's also becoming to fill glasses and prescriptions, so that end of the business as well. And the work he's done in Malawi, where we helped build an optometry school, that first optometry school has spread through other parts of Eastern Africa, where now a graduate of that school in Malawi is the dean of the optometry school in Uganda. So it really shows the sort of ripple effect, when the pebble goes across the lake. I mean, the need is so great, but the people, people want to do for themselves. So if we facilitate that path for them and give them the tools, they're happy to sort of take up, the charge. So
love it. There are two themes that each of you referenced and provided some remarkable examples to that I think really needs to be noted. That being the sustainability of the programs and OGS's approach to supporting this global public health need, the sustainability of the approach, and the scalability of the approach, right? Yeah. No doubt, Lois, I love how you reference. I mean, there are a lot of ways that folks can get involved. Practices can get involved, funding programs, attending programs, perhaps going on the mission trips and being a part of a variety of other opportunities. But truly, when we look at philanthropy, it's rare that philanthropy is being kind of packaged up in this truly sustainable and scalable kind of modality, right? And here, again, the fact that what Optometry Giving Sight is doing is providing the funds necessary to actually establish clinics, to actually establish learning institutions, to train that next generation of optometry globally to serve their local population. It's really powerful.
And Eric, that just to comment on that last point you raised, at the schools that we have provided funding to build, the ultimate goal, and in some cases we are there, one in Vietnam, I believe Nicaragua, a few others, is to have a master's program where the next generation of instructors are trained. It's essential.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because something else that we need to also put in context, right, is, we open by talking about how big this need is. Over 1.1 billion people. The population's continuing to grow. People are living longer globally. So the public health need here is going to only continue to compound. Absolutely.
Yes.
So it's imperative, I think now more than ever, that we can get in there and create these sustainable, scalable models to develop the next generation of optometry, right? They're in their communities to provide to their communities.
Yes.
Really remarkable.
As I say, I think it's really important that we do this work now because, like you mentioned, the way, populations are growing and living longer. And, we have like the World Health Organization really recognizing now that myopia and other vision problems are almost growing to an epidemic proportion. Yeah. But in those parts of the world, we don't even have a lane, right? We don't even have a chair yet for people to sit in to diagnose the myopia. So it's truly wonderful and great how much focus is being put on myopia management here in the developed world, but we definitely still have to get people at least examined everywhere, at least put a pair of glasses on them or at least get them refracted to see if they're myopic, right? We gotta get them to crawl before they can walk or run, you know what I'm saying? So it's like Lois said in the beginning, it's a lot of stuff we take for granted here. We can practically examine ourselves online.
Yeah.
Kind of,
So why don't you all share a little bit about, so clearly we have this massive public health need, this global public health need, right? That's easily corrected. And that's another thing too, that I think really we need to bring to the forefront, right? This isn't like investing funds in some really far out, genetic type treatment options and stuff. I mean, y'all, we are talking about
cancer. It's not
primary vision care. It's the ability for local people in their communities to be equipped both with the skills, i.e. going through optometry school. I love hearing what you said, Lois, that you're going to add in a master's program to develop the next generation of instructors as well, right? But it's, we're not only establishing these schools to train the next generation, but then also being able to, as you referenced that, your doctor, what was it, Canadian Vision Care? What was that?
Alan Jones.
Yeah. So Dr. Alan Jones, sees things that Dr. Alan Jones has done and actually like setting up the clinics and such. So why don't you all share a little bit of exactly, where does OGS fit into this, right? Because I mean, it's not like y'all are raising funds here in North America and then like sending contractors and architects out there. So exactly what is the role of OGS in this process of meeting this increasingly global public health need?
So we are strictly a funding organization. We raise funds from companies in the ophthalmic world, from optometrists and optometric practices, and to some extent from patients as well. And we fund programs through a mechanism of grant applications. So this year, for example, we received about 65 grant applications. And we will have a decision hopefully on Monday at the next board meeting, which programs will be funded. We give about $1 million a year. And we're tiny. I like to say we're scrappy. We have 7 staff, 2 in Canada, 5 in the US.
That $1 million gets awarded out to about 20 to 24 projects probably
per year. Right. And
And
some,
these projects,
go ahead. I was just going to say some are multi-year until they get farther along that path to be sustainable, self-sufficient. And in some cases, part of that is, we all recognize that optometry is different all over the world. In some countries, it's recognized, the education level is high, it's very different all over the world. In some cases, part of that effort is working with the local ministries of health to get eye care to be a part of healthcare in that country, to have it recognized and integrated into the healthcare systems.
So you're telling me there are parts of the world where vision care isn't even a recognized part of the healthcare system?
Correct.
Wow.
It's not addressed.
That's fascinating. That's fascinating. I'd like you to also to expand briefly. So we have this year 65 applications. Maybe if you could kind of share I mean, is it 65 applications saying, hey, we need an optometry school in our town here in globally, or is it kind of runs the gamut of what
it literally is the gamut. One of the grant applications this year was from an organization that is well established, and I'm not going to name any, but well established in the international public health arena, that it has requested funds to do needs assessments in certain countries that they already work on other programs.
Sure.
Where they know that there is a lack of eye care services, and they're asking for funds for needs assessments to begin the process of what would it take to create a school of optometry here, right?
Gotcha.
So very preliminary, but they already have an infrastructure that lends itself well to being able to implement successfully. Okay, so that's sort of at one end of the spectrum. And the other is, the other end of the spectrum is we don't have any care here help. I mean, it's almost that basic. The projects that we tend to fund are projects that have sufficient infrastructure to at least support the beginning.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, right. Like if they don't have plumbing and electricity, then we can't go in that. Right. That's not OGS needs. We need to have some infrastructure so that OGS funds can go towards the development of optometry and eye care, not laying roads and putting.
And they need to have an idea of how they're going to go about this. Right. I mean, one of the things that we try to do for programs that we are not able to fund, and obviously our funds are limited. We wish they weren't. Sure. We cannot give to everyone, but we can help make connections. There may be an optometry school in that country, or in across the border in a nearby country that they can connect with to begin to build and be in a better position to apply for funding next year, for example. Right. So we can help people make connections. Nikki, what did I get?
Well, no, because I get people reaching out to me a lot via LinkedIn or other channels, asking for help or sharing their projects with me, and they're all they're all desperate, and they're all legitimate, and I would love to help them all, and yet our grant application window closed. So there's really nothing I can say or not promise them this year, but I can, like Lois said, I can try to connect them with an optometry school in their country and say, please watch or, follow us to try to apply for funding next year. And it would definitely be a program that we would certainly consider, because it would be something like school screenings, to make sure that all the children in the school have an eye care professional come in and examine them and provide eyewear. That is sort of right in our wheelhouse, but they missed the grant window by 3 months, whatever it is. But in the meantime, I can say, there is an optometry college, one that we did happen to fund, but even if it wasn't, but by the way, have you reached out to them? So at least I can try to make that connection, that sort of thing.
There's something else that also I think I meant to bring up a little earlier, but Nick, it's in what you just said that triggered the thought again. So we're looking at the fact that we got 1.1 billion people globally, over 1.1 billion people globally who are blind simply because they don't have access to a comprehensive eye exam and vision correction.
Or even a screening.
Or even a screening. Okay, so we're not even talking about a comprehensive exam where we're looking at the fundus and stuff. We're just talking about, can we just do some refractions, do some screenings, and get people some good corrected vision? So there's something missing from this piece also that I think needs to be brought to the forefront. And Nikki, when you just mentioned about going into the schools and doing these screenings, that's what triggered the thought. Because it's not only like a public health thing, a quality of life thing, but y'all, it is an economic thing. It is a GDP. You look at these nations maybe that are radically underserved and consider how many of those youth perhaps have to go this career path because they don't have the vision to go this career path. And we can start looking at the economic impact of this blindness that is easily correctable. And absolutely, I mean, through and through, there's just so much here. There's so much going on, so many stakeholders here, even beyond just the individual.
Well, there's a direct correlation too between the amount of optometrists per, 1,000 people population-wise too. The poorest countries have obviously the fewest eye care professionals. So
yeah. I recall having a conversation with Dr. Obi Malope. I think you guys know Obi. He's in South Africa, and he has given me some really great education. Conversation with him, conversation with Dr. Daryl Glover, that we all know, America's optometrist, right? But understanding, to your point, Nikki, we really do take it for granted here in the U.S. and North America, where we've got, one optometrist for every 10,000 people or whatever that stat is. But you go to other parts of the world and you've got these massive populations with nary a provider in a hundreds of kilometers radius, right?
Well, in Haiti, there was, so we're still working on that school that we've been helping fund, the School of Optometry in Haiti. So Haiti has a population of about 11.8 million people. And there were 2 optometrists in the entire country. But there were. Now there are 10. So we recently had 8 students complete their 5-year study course and are now 8 more practicing optometrists. So overall, that stat is still kind of shocking, 10 optometrists for almost 12 million people, but 10 is a lot better than 2. But it has
become even more important because there used to be, I don't remember the exact number, the number of ophthalmologists.
I think it was in the mid-50s, I thought it was.
But because of the civil unrest in Haiti, more than half of the ophthalmologists have left Haiti.
Wow.
Which means the need is now even greater.
Yeah. So, y'all, okay. All right. Now let's get into talking about how people can get involved, right? Because the fact is this. I mean, I was crunching a few little numbers here as you guys were sharing some of these stats. So I think we all agree that the need here is gigantic. I think we all agree that when we get involved with something, and I know our viewers out there globally are involved in community organizations, church organizations, and faith-based groups, and what have you. I think there's something that everyone that gets involved in philanthropy share, that they want to get involved in something that is sustainable and that is scalable, right? And with how Optometry Giving Sight is structured and the work you all do, it's wildly sustainable and wildly scalable. But I was crunching these numbers here a moment ago and just thinking, well, okay, if we're raising if OGS has a grant budget of about $1 million a year and is getting 65 applicants a year, we start peeling that back and we realize, well, wait up. How many optometrists are here in the U.S.? 45,000? The $1 million, $22 per optometrist. How many comprehensive eye exams are being performed per year here in the U.S.? What, 110, 120 million, something like that? that comes down to being less than 10 cents per eye exam, right? So why don't we now jump into, let's talk about how folks can get involved. And I know you guys have this new program, TEAM OGS. And by the way, for our viewers out there, this is the first of what's going to be a two-part series when Lois and Nick are going to be joining us on Akrinos Access, talking about ways you can get involved. So we'd love for you guys, Lois and Nikki, to expand on this new program, TEAM OGS, and start to share some of the ways that doctors and staff and practices can get involved to support Optometry Giving Sight.
Nikki, I'm going to leave that to you.
Oh, okay. Well, all right, thanks. All right, so TEAM OGS is our new platform that is a year-round fundraising opportunity. TEAM OGS stands for Together Eye Care Achieves Miracles. And that's because, well, you know what? I think that's because we believe we are all in this together. You know, we are all on this planet hurling around in space together, and we really should be helping each other out. And it's really not difficult. When you talk about ways to get involved, TEAM OGS offers a myriad of opportunities for a practice to get involved. And it doesn't matter if you're a brand new practice or if you're a long established practice, because there are ways that are very passive that really don't impact your bottom line. And then there are ways to get involved that are more involved, that you could do monthly donations. You could take frames from your dispensary and say, this is our TEAM OGS frame or our specific line. You could designate every time we sell from this line, we're going to make a percentage donation. You could look at your overall revenue from your dispensary and decide to donate a percentage of that every month. Some passive ways to donate, which I love these ways, because one is if, and this is in the US only, but there's a partnership with Bausch & Lomb and TerraCycle, that if you save up your used disposable contact lenses, any brand, not just Bausch & Lomb, and the blister packs they come in, and ask your patients to do that, and then the ones that you go through in your office and just save them up in any box, and then use a pre-printed label so you're not even paying for the shipping label. Slap it on the box when it's full, send it back, and not even pay for having UPS to stop. Just give it to your UPS guy. And I know from years of working in a practice, UPS probably stops in every day. Give it to your UPS driver. Those materials go back, they're recycled, so you're doing something great for the environment, and then they make a donation to OGS. So it's like a win-win-win-win.
Yeah.
And you get your patients involved too. So I think you're giving your patients the opportunity to make an impact. They feel good that they're doing something. As a practice, you feel good. And it really doesn't cost the practice anything. And another passive way is the credit card processing. And again, I know firsthand, having owned a practice, every year looks like those processing fees, every swipe, it goes up. So there's a company called Chip In, and they will donate 10% of their processing fees. So it doesn't come out of the doctor's bottom line or out of their pocketbook. And they also are willing to do sort of a no charge assessment. So if you send them one of your monthly statements, they'll analyze it, and they say they will meet or beat your existing price structure. Don't need to change your equipment. They can reprogram your existing equipment. So I feel like there's almost nothing to lose to just have them take a look at it. They can save you money, save the practice money. And at the same time, again, a donation comes to OGS for every credit card swipe. And to me, that's huge. When you talk about how many optometrists there are in the country, Eric, and how many take credit cards, all of them, in optical shops, all of them, for every swipe, that 10% of whatever their charge is, if it's 2%, 3%, I honestly don't know, it would really add up. So those are passive ways to support. So I think for a new practice that's worried about being a monthly donor, impacting their bottom line, these are two really super easy, great ways. And then other ways for TEAM OGS for people to participate would be sort of what I said initially, designating frames or just deciding to donate monthly based on their revenue out of their dispensary, making a monthly donation. We also have a really beautiful global impact map that has been designed with different colors that designate where in the world we've made an impact, either with optometry schools, vision clinics, optical labs, or multiple within one country. We've done more than one of those things. And if people want it, we'll send it at 16 by 20. And we ask that it's displayed in a high traffic area of the practice or the optical shop. So maybe the waiting room or, contact lens insertion removal room or something. So it generates conversation. And then we have a donation box, like a sort of like a little lucite box you can put on the counter. So if people want to make a donation because they're inspired by the map, or they got their glasses adjusted or repaired and they want to try to give you a couple of bucks, maybe the staff will say, oh, no, but if you feel so moved, maybe you'd make a donation to Optometry Giving Sight. So there's a whole number of ways that people can get involved, and there's no rule or, it's whatever works for practice. If they want to do one thing, they can do one thing. If they want to do all the things, they can do all the things. We want it to be easy for a practice. We want a practice to feel good about it. We know from statistics that employees feel great about a practice or a company that does participate in corporate social responsibility or charitable giving. So I think that a doctor that wants to engage in this, I think he's going to have happy, or he or she's going to have happy employees.
And patients as well.
Yeah.
Patients care.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Patients care that their caregivers, their optometrists are involved with their communities and give back. And it's one of the beautiful things about optometry. Optometrists give back in so many ways.
Yeah. And I think that, it's like, there's an expression like, it's not pie, right? Or, it's okay to give to more than one thing. Like I see a lot of organizations and a lot of places that, they have a foundation already that takes care of maybe optometrists who fall on hard times, or if there's a hurricane, or if there's something, and that's a wonderful thing. But it's okay to also donate to another cause. And I think that most people who went into this industry did it because they wanted to improve the quality of life through eye care. And I think this is a great opportunity to do that, and for people all around the world, because that's what we do with our projects. And we do it all around the world, here in North America, but probably more around the world, because that's where optometry needs developing. And so I think for any practice or any optical shop, no matter what phase they're in, brand new or a long-established practice, supporting Optometry Giving Sight allows us to support all these projects to help so many people in the world. I think it is a good way to make people, aware, first of all, of the issues, if they're not already aware. And then the practices, their employees, and like Lois said, their patients, can all feel really good about these things that they're doing. And like some of them, like the recycling program, they can feel good about it. There's also a BioTrue recycling program with Bausch & Lomb. There's also contact lens rebates. They can also choose to donate a portion of through Bausch & Lomb, and also through Cooper Vision. So there's really all kinds of ways that practices and patients can get involved. And we have really these beautiful, colorful thank you cards that we're sending to practices to share with their patients. And
we will provide the materials that the practice needs to implement whatever pieces of this work best for them.
Yeah. And I think there's two things that I'd like to note here, right? One is I love what TEAM OGS is doing to make it more accessible for more people to get involved, right? Because, in the world of nonprofits, the net dollars are awesome. Obviously, we always want to grow the net dollars, but also the pure number of donors is so vitally important to organizations such as Optometry Giving Sight, right? So, so what do I mean by that? It would be in an organization's better interest to have 1 million people contributing $1 rather than having one person give $1 million, right?
Yes.
So I love what TEAM OGS is now doing in really promoting these more accessible approaches to serving and supporting Optometry Giving Sight. And look, Lois and Nikki, y'all know Akrinos is a perfect example of that, right? I mean, here we are. We've just started our 4th year in business, and you guys know that we contribute what we can contribute as a company that's still in its early years. So the degree to which, Nikki, you were referencing, now TEAM OGS has all these really great ways to get involved, whether you're that cold start very early on, and you really don't have the extra funds to be funding the projects. But there's still ways that you can raise funds for OGS without it impacting your bottom line. And hey, if you're that practice that's in kind of these peak earnings years, like really crushing it through the growth and scale phase, maybe you are in this position right now to maybe open up your pocketbook to maybe do a dollar for dollar match to what patients present, or a myriad of opportunities there.
Yeah. And
then ultimately, for the legacy practices that are looking to transition, and Nikki, I know that you and I have spoken about this a couple times here and there, but, depending on what your future looks like as you enter retirement after selling your practice, perhaps you are in a financial position to make a sizable contribution to Optometry Giving Sight. So once again, TEAM OGS really pulls it together that now we've got these amazing ways to be a part of the change and the impact that Optometry Giving Sight is having globally, no matter where you are in your practice life cycle and no matter what your degree is to fund, you can absolutely get involved and support. Lois, Nikki, this has been a really, really exciting conversation. And I can't wait to have you guys back here on Akrinos Access next month, where we're going to start talking about World Sight Day, World Sight Day Challenge, which now, World Sight Day is now going to be a month-long event. A lot of really exciting ways for people to get involved. But before we sign off from this episode here, introducing TEAM OGS, once again, want to remind everyone to head on over to givingsight.org, where you can learn everything you're wanting to know about TEAM OGS, and absolutely go ahead and start that journey yourself. Before we do sign off, though, Lois, Nikki, any closing remarks to share with folks?
I want to thank you so much for this opportunity, Eric. Opportunity to get the word out, expose more people to TEAM OGS. We welcome optometrists, practices that have been with us in the past, maybe dropped off, welcome folks to come back. And for practices and optometrists who have not been involved with us in the past, we can help you build your brand as a practice that cares about your community and does good in the world.
Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. And I'm going to toss one in there as well, because it doesn't stop there. Because quite frankly, there are tens of thousands of us across North America, just like me. And who are people just like me and just like yourself, Nikki, right? And just like you, Lois. We're industry people. None of us are doctors. None of us own practices. But we're a part of this amazing industry. So to our viewers out there, even that you're another one of these just passionate about the industry, you've been a part of it, you want to get involved, I tell you, get involved with Optometry Giving Sight, spread the word, get your family and friends involved. A lot of really exciting ways to support. So, y'all, what a tremendously informative and inspired episode here of Akrinos Access. Thank you, Lois and Nikki. Thank y'all so much for joining us here on Access.
Thank you, and thank you for all you do for us.
Yeah,
absolutely.
For sure. Thanks, Eric.
And to all of our viewers out there, head on over to givingsight.org to learn more. And should you find yourself over at akrinos.com, go to the Akrinos, to our social impact page there, Akrinos, and you'll find ways to also get in touch with Optometry Giving Sight and be a part of the change, right? Providing sight to those in need. So lastly, y'all, stay tuned. Next month, we're going to have Lois and Nikki join us right back here on Akrinos Access, as we're going to be building some hype and sharing all the ways you can get involved in World Sight Day and the month-long World Sight Day Challenge. So from all of us here at Akrinos, Eric Matei signing off.
Thanks so much.